Hello and welcome to Reddit on Reddit, the internet's auditory version of Reddit. I'm Nelson Allingham, joined by Michael Campbell.
Now, I assume that this podcast always annoys you, Nelson, no matter what.
Always.
But today, you must be very annoyed because it's literally dragged you out of bed.
I know. It's perhaps the worst recording I've ever had to do.
Maybe
no one likes being dragged out of bed for any reason.
Maybe people don't know this, but we always record strictly 6 a.m. every morning.
Yeah, that's right.
And very dedicated.
Normally I'm up and very ready and raring to go. Not today. No siree. Still a bit sleepy, if I'm going to be honest. So, see how that translates audibly.
The energy is going to be really high from your end, I think.
Yeah. It'll get there. Okay, mate. This first Reddit on Reddit was in the subreddit Unpopular Opinion.
Oh, okay.
I decided to dig into that well because we hadn't for a while.
Yeah.
It was by Responsible Common 2. Spider-Man having to need to use a mechanical web canister to use his webs is the dumbest thing ever. I think Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy having Peter's biological web was the smartest decision. Imagine having an animal's superpowers but not having the most important ability biologically. Imagine Aquaman needing a scuba gas tank to breathe underwater. Then why the F are you even Aquaman at this point? I think that this person just went off into a tangent and somehow got angry at the idea of an Aquaman having to
a different superhero from a different universe.
Yeah, of a problem that doesn't exist. But they are very passionate about superheroes having the biological superpower. I have to agree with this one. Okay, but I think it's so stupid that I remember hearing after, because I want to say the first Spider-Man in quotation marks with Tobey Maguire obviously was the first one that I feel as though I was introduced to that type of Spider-Man. And because maybe even in maybe I saw him in cartoons and stuff previously, but I reckon probably didn't pay enough attention to whether he was using a canister or whether it was biological or whatever.
The first Spider-Man movie informed your idea of Spider-Man.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. It makes sense. He's done this. And then when I had that, no, traditionally, Spider-Man has canisters on his arm. It makes so little sense. It's so dumb. I feel like it's a stupid idea.
Do you think they should have gone the step further and done it even more spider-like and have the webs come out of his butt?
Yeah, that's true.
That would be more spider-like. He should be swinging by his big butt all through the streets.
Yeah. Actually, on the latest season of The Boys, don't they have somebody
Yes. Web Weaver, I think his name is. Yeah. He does have the webs come out of the tailbone on his back. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with this.
It's always been kind of said that Spider-Man is supposed to be this genius kid. And I think that they've developed that in the comics to explain how he could manufacture. It's one of those things where it's if you have the ability to do that technology, just sell that technology.
Yeah.
And you'll be so rich.
Yeah, exactly. Why is he still struggling so much?
Yeah.
I feel because not just... Wait, isn't there something stupid in the Andrew Garfield one, I think, where they say something along the lines of, that by being bitten by the spider, I learned how to make its web. Like it's
possibly
chemical, components came
unlocked.
to me because
That's all well and good. Now sell it.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. But that is just such a dumb idea that it's like the spiders actually know chemically how their web is made.
From memory, that movie also posited that Peter Parker's parents were like spies that were wanted by the US government.
Yeah. So that's cool though. I'm all about that. Let's get rid of this Uncle Ben and Auntie May rubbish. And I think just explore a life of weird spies through Spider-Man. That'd be cool.
It's the history of how Spider-Man came to be is funny because when you look at him as a character and then what the inspiration actually was, it makes a bit more sense why they hadn't thought of webs. Because even though he is called Spider-Man, that is not the genesis of the idea. The story is that apparently Stan Lee was sitting in his office at Marvel Comics, kind of tapping his pen against the desk, and he looked up and there was a fly, and it was just crawling up the wall like that. Like kind of in his office, and he was like, wouldn't that be a great power? Someone that can just climb up anything like this fly can. And he told it to some editor there, and they're like, you cannot have fly man.
Yeah.
So they were like, all right, well, what other bug climbs up things? Well, spider. All right, he's Spider-Man then.
Yeah,
which is why it was never designed spider forward.
Yeah,
it was designed by this thought of a man climbing up a wall. And then they're like, what can do that?
Yeah. That's right. That's interesting.
Because even the first appearance of Spider-Man, he's got like little wing things under his sleeve so he can kind of glide, which I think is much more fly-like.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's the thing. Actually, if you play the Spider-Man video game, that's a big part. You fly up to the, swing up to the top and then glide down. Didn't they have some like stupid? In one of them, maybe again, one of the spiders, they were like, that was part of the hybrid, radioactive spider, had like extra abilities or something, and one of them was like, gliding. This glides. This is part of the glide.
Well, they've done the little gliding wings in the Tom Holland movies, like. Literally for one scene, he jumps off something and he like triggers these little things to come out. But in the Andrew Garfield ones, the spider he gets bitten by was like in a lab being experimented on or something.
I want to see the Andrew Garfield one that universe be expanded, because to me, I think there's just more crazy stuff going on in that one.
Well, it's funny. You know how there's all those Spider-Man movies being made without Spider-Man in them lately? How there's like Venom and Madam Web and Kraven the Hunter's coming out. There are people that posit that is just put that in the Andrew Garfield universe. Because like who cares? Like chuck it. That one's already weird.
Madam Web tanked, didn't it?
Oh yeah.
Venom is. I actually don't mind Venom that much, weirdly. They're definitely not amazing, but there's something about them that's just kind of weirdly charming or something. What
I find really funny is when Venom first came out, and the idea of this Spider-Man movie without Spider-Man, but about one of his villains or whatever, everyone's like, this is what are they doing? This is so weird. And then even when it first came out, I feel like people were like, what? Why did they make that? And now, in hindsight, after everything else they've made, everyone's like, Venom was actually not too bad. Because I've seen what else they're making with Morbius and Madam Web. And actually, now that we think about it, Venom was pretty good.
I think that what happened was people weren't sure if they intentionally made Venom the way they did. In a sense, it's like, did you kind of accidentally sort of make a kind of bad movie, like this weird relationship between Venom and I don't know the dude, I don't know what the dude's name is, and then they released movie number two, sequel number two, and you're like, oh, you did intend to kind of make it slightly bad and weird in this sense. And then I think it made it better. Once you knew that the intention was what it was, you were like, okay, that's fine then.
They meant to do this. And I guess they did do it. So it's good.
So, well done. Yeah, I think that's it. All right, Gambit, let's move on and get into Ask Reddit. Ask Reddit. This Ask Reddit was cross-posted to us by Just Judging Reddit, but originally it was by Alakapandi. Alakapandi. I don't know. Anyway, what is denied by everyone, but actually 100% real?
Did they meant to make Venom that way?
Yeah.
That
Guys,
was intentional.
They meant to make it that way. Okay? You didn't think so, but then they came out with the sequel and you were like,
they wouldn't do that
they've
again.
Done the same thing. Yeah. I put some comments here to help us along rather than come up with unique thoughts, Cambo.
Sure.
Because that would be more effort. So this one was by Gore. Oh my God. A lot of psychological stuff in here, but I just wanted to mention that driving barefoot is legal in every state in the United States. Lots of people doubt me when I mention it.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that is quite interesting. It has the vibe of illegal, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And just FYI, I even checked for Victoria in Australia because I presumed this. Oh, yeah, it does even say United States. I thought the same. So I checked, and in Victoria, you can drive barefoot as well. I think probably everywhere in Australia.
You know, it's funny. I was going to also have a look at some of these comments of this post. But then I realized it wasn't hyperlinked in our notes. So I was like, I'll Google the question and then it will pop up. How many
this has
times,
been asked? Yeah, so many times
this year do you reckon this has been posted?
I actually think we might have even done this one before.
I can see in the results at least 5 times this year.
Yeah.
This exact Ask Reddit. Because I opened it, was like, this is a different one. Hang on.
Yeah.
I don't think Nelson got a post from 8 months ago.
Well, you could go into any one of those, Cambo, if you're just looking at the comments.
No, the first one's about molestation. Let's not do that one.
Oh, okay. That's not good. But I have another one here. This is by Alakor94. Said, you are not, this one's deep. You are not immune to propaganda.
Yeah. I have seen this out in the wild. This, what's funny is that comment was also a shower thought.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Makes me wonder whether someone saw the shower thought and used it, or someone commented that and goes, "Oh, that's good, actually."
Yeah, actually, yeah.
This is totally true.
Yeah,
I mean, you know me, I buy into the Tom Cruise propaganda 100%.
What? No. There's no such thing.
He is the best. What are you talking about?
I just don't understand what you're talking about. Propaganda. He's so good. Do you know what I think has made me realize that we all actually the thing is probably not that just you're not immune to propaganda, but you experience it on probably a daily basis and probably don't realize it as much. I reckon the biggest proponent of this is when we're actually looking at news overseas. I'm pretty sure I've told this story before, and it always surprises me when I hear about it. When my brother was in Portugal at the time that we were going through COVID lockdowns, and he had seen some news in Australia that it was like a horrendous, we were being like, forced and like maliciously forced to stay indoors, and that we had no freedom, and it was really horrible. Like it just heard that there was like some horrendous stuff, but obviously us living here are like, what are you talking about?
He must have heard the rumor that Victoria was being run by a dictator.
Yeah, that's basically what it was, because like what they're implying in the news overseas. And I think that's probably really interesting. And it probably comes down to, right, that when you're getting the news of another country, it's just condensed to like the top points of what's happening over there. And there's probably way less like good news stories, because that just doesn't sell as well, or even just like moderately interesting. For example, I learned recently Victoria started to build some rubbish burning factories to produce energy, which was new and interesting to Australia. We don't do that at the moment, but like I don't imagine that's making it overseas to people. You know, they're hearing about. Actually, I don't know what they'd be hearing about right now of Australia.
Not much.
How we're a bunch of drunk bogans, probably. That's just the constant rhetoric that gets thrown around.
Not even propaganda.
Yeah, that's just true. No, but I think even when we hear about America in particular, right? Because out of every country, I'd say we hear that the most.
Yeah.
Even things like the election, like that's big. That's the only news, especially right now, that we get from America. I don't hear anything else about American news. But I'm sure if you're in America, that's just like one of many different forms of news that you're getting a day, and it's probably not even as prevalent. You know, like we just feel like we follow around each presidential candidate where they're going around America. That's like the news that we get. And again, I'm sure Americans get that too, but they probably are potentially not as tuned into it as we are, because there's like just other stuff going on in their like local neighborhood and stuff that gets filtered into their news and what's going on there. So
it's funny. There has been like a slew of anti-Trump billboards that someone is funding. It doesn't seem to be like any official thing, but someone is funding these billboards because they're pretty out there. Mm-hmm. But they're all anti-Trump. And I remember seeing one that is both about propaganda, but is also propaganda itself, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
Which it had a picture of Trump, and it just said in big text, "He lost and you're in a cult."
Yeah. That's pretty funny.
It's just funny because it is about the propaganda, right?
Yeah.
But also, it is itself propaganda. For the other side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But imagine just driving along and looking at that and going, huh.
Well, now that you put it like that, yeah. That's funny.
Well, there's one here that says you can do absolutely everything right and still fail, which I think is a very true statement that is like important to know.
That's true. I mean, it's hard to quantify, isn't it?
Yeah, but like
that you have done everything right.
But like there are musicians out there that are wonderful musicians, absolutely super talented, but there's so much that goes into being a successful musician with circumstance and timing and luck, and so you can grind and be good and still not make it. And like I don't know if I'd call that fail necessarily, but like it's not that you did anything wrong, it's that cosmically there are all these circumstances that need to go exactly right.
Yes. But Cambo, what they probably should have done that I bet you they didn't was sleep with as many producers as they possibly could.
Or they slept with too many producers and they tipped the balance.
Might have slept with too many. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's a risk sometimes you have to take.
Yeah, you need to sleep with just the right amount of producers.
Yeah. You don't want to. You don't want a name for yourself going around if you sleep with too many of them. All right, Cambo, let's move into Today I Advice. So now it's time for Today I Learned. Let's play the intro to that. Today I Learned. And also sometimes advice. Okay, Cambo, this is a big advice one, so hold on to your butt.
Okay.
This is by Throwaway Takeaway Crab. I, 28, female, found out my husband, 29, male, has been telling his co-workers that I'm his sister. What do I do? Please help me. Thorough account because I don't use or understand Reddit, but I really need advice from someone not connected to me or my husband. My husband, I'll call him Josh, and I have been together for 6 years, married 4, and we don't have kids. We have a really healthy and communicative relationship. We're both pretty easygoing, and I really love him. He started working at a large accounting firm about 3 years ago, and from what he tells me, he loves it there. He's made a lot of friends through his job, and he goes out with them for drinks and social events quite often, and I've been totally okay with that. I'm quite introverted, so I've never been interested in meeting his colleagues or work friends, nor have I asked to. I've got my own circle of friends and I'm fine with us having separate friend groups. After what happened yesterday, it only just occurred to me that he has never actually asked me if I'd like to meet any of them or go to one of his work events. I guess that's important context. Anyway, I'll start with what happened a few months ago that I had brushed off until now. I was at a bar with some friends for a couple of Friday after work drinks, and a guy approached me. He was there with some friends too. He looked slightly familiar, but I hadn't met him before. He seemed friendly enough and he asked me my name, right? I think I must have just given him a confused look, but he followed up with, I'm Jake, I work with Josh. I realized that I recognized him for some photos on my husband's phone. I don't use social media except for a private Instagram, so I'm not sure.
This is unnecessary information.
It's so unnecessary. It is so unnecessary. Anyway, this is where it gets a bit embarrassing. I'm a bit socially awkward, and so I struggled to end the conversation, but he just kept talking at me. I guess he was already a couple of beers deep. While he was talking, he said something like, it's great that you guys are still so close. I haven't talked to my brother in ages. At the time, I was like, huh? But I just assumed he was drunk and not making sense, so I ignored it. He started to get a little flirty, so I turned to my friends and we left shortly after that. I didn't say anything to them about it, and it didn't seem like a big deal to me. I also decided not to tell my husband that I had met his coworker Jake. Not to hide it, but because I figured the guy wouldn't even remember talking to me.
Not
I didn't want to make it
information.
awkward for Josh. Totally unnecessary. But why wouldn't you? It's kind of weird that you wouldn't.
It is
wouldn't
weird.
You? Wouldn't you
There's a
just
few
like,
things here.
oh, hey, I just ran into your friend.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? And then also, he said
He said
something
this
weird about my
thing.
brother.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't need to be a big thing. But it's just, I would tell, if I ran into one of Ellen's work friends, regardless of the conversation, I'd just be like, oh, hey, ran into him. Anyway. But yesterday morning, I was out walking our dog.
Not necessary information.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? You want to know the dog's name, Kevin? It's Monty.
What kind of breed is he?
He's a crossbreed between a few different breeds and has very unique markings. This matters, I promise.
Okay.
It doesn't. It actually doesn't at all. I want everybody to keep in their heads
that this matters.
This person believes this really matters. Yeah. Okay?
Yeah.
I was on my way to my regular cafe, which is in town.
Not a necessary bit of information.
I was waiting in line to order a macchiato latte with 1 sugar and no, okay, she didn't say that. And the guy in front of me was an older man. He got his coffee and turned around, but stopped and looked at my dog and goes, "Hello, Monty." Monty was super excited to see him, apparently, and so I guess that the guy was another colleague of Josh's because Josh brings the dog to the office a couple of times a week. Mm-hmm. Is it still important that we knew the unique cross? Some guy recognized your dog.
A dog, yeah.
No information was needed other than that. I thought it was sweet, to be honest. So I smiled at him and said hi. He introduced himself. I guess correctly that he was a colleague.
Unimportant bit of information.
That he had said something like, "Aren't you a good sister?" walking his dog for him. I was so confused that I didn't even know how to react at first. So I stumbled on my words and just said, "It's my dog." I regret it, but I genuinely couldn't bring myself to correct him and say that I'm Josh's wife and not his sister. It was just too awkward, and I just wanted to leave because I think it was suddenly dawning on me what might have been going on. He asked me something about sharing a dog, but I was able to escape the conversation by being next in line to order my coffee, and he left. I seriously don't know what to do because what the fuck? I don't even ask my husband about this. Part of me is assuming or hoping that it's a mistake, that he doesn't talk about me much at work, and they assume we are related because we both have brown hair. Yeah, I assume that people that have brown hair are related. But the thought that he has been telling his coworkers that I'm his sister, and evidently they have seen what I look like, so they must have seen photos, makes my stomach churn. I don't even know how I would broach the subject with him. I need some help. What would you guys do in this situation? I've only told one friend what happened because it's so weird and embarrassing. She shut up, jumped to time to plot his downfall. Because she's my ride or die. Love her. We don't know this information. But I don't want to immediately assume the worst or ruin my marriage over something that could be nothing. I'm sorry for the long rambly post, but I would really appreciate any and all advice.
Okay. The advice I have is editing. There is a lot of information in here that doesn't need to be there. Okay, this seems like I see red flags on both sides of this.
Okay, yeah.
It is weird, admittedly, that everyone in the office seems to think you're his sister.
Yeah.
I didn't jump straight to him telling everyone that.
Yeah.
My immediate assumption was they have just assumed that you're his sister, but that would also indicate that if someone said, "Are you married?" he said, "No."
Yeah.
Therefore, I guess the woman in all these pictures is his sister.
Isn't it weird too, though, just thinking about any other context, assuming that somebody in a photo with somebody else is their sibling and not their partner?
Well, here's the thing. I need to know how alike they look. Because like really you and your sister, I can see the family resemblance between them.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's true.
What if they look alike?
What if they are brother and sister?
And that's the thing.
Also married.
If I saw two people that looked really alike, it would be very bold of me to go, I assume you're husband and wife.
You would almost definitely, though, say to the person, like, I can't imagine the context where you see this photo and be like, oh, they're so similar, that must be his sister. And then just assume it without not confirming anything with the person.
And then seemingly spread that information because
Spread that information to everyone in the office. Hey, have you seen his sister? Don't talk about it in front of him, by the way.
That is a red flag.
Yeah. Okay.
But there are several points in this where she's like, anyway, I decided not to ask my husband about this.
Yeah, classic.
Like, hang on. Hang on.
I really struggle to bring on advice topics on this podcast because most of the time it's just talk to the person.
Yeah.
I seriously, there's some that I'm like, wow, this is such an interesting, like, dynamic relationship, weird thing that's going on. I'd love to talk about this, but you just need to talk to the person because then it would be resolved instantly.
What if the first time when she was at the bar and the guy says something about sister or whatever, she went, it was like, hey, I ran into your friend from work. He said something weird about me being your sister or whatever. And the guy might have been like, oh, yeah. So I made this joke one time.
Yeah.
Where someone said, oh, that was your wife. And I was like, how dare you? That's my sister. And it was a joke.
Yeah.
But now it's so annoying that like it's still, so there are some people that think that and I have to explain it to them every time. And you'd be like, oh, that's embarrassing. Whoops.
Well,
end of
Cambo. You would think that. That's what could happen. But I can tell you, I know what would have happened if that conversation had happened at that time. He would have been like, what? I don't know what that guy's on about. He's just being an idiot. Don't worry about it. Because there was actually, not only is there just an edit at the bottom of this one, which is, honestly, it's like 3 paragraphs long, and I'm pretty sure it has no information. But I happened to, kind of by chance, because we ended up recording this episode a little bit later, she had put in an update on this that I stumbled across.
Okay.
And so she eventually confronted him, and he said, oh, actually, no, she went one step further. and she got his phone and went through messages.
No.
She said in the post, which like doesn't seem right, but she's like, no, I've done this before, and I normally just like do like a little skim, you know, like I'm.
That's still not okay.
It's not a big, and for some reason, unimportant detail, but also a little bit creepy. She says at some point, "I know his passcode off by heart," which is a weird phrasing. Because that makes it seem like, oh, you actually break into his phone all the time.
Yeah. And you know what's funny about that? The difference between kinds of people is Stacey and I know each other's passcodes. To our phones, except for I never remember hers.
Oh,
I always look at my phone. I'm like, oh, what is it again?
Yeah.
She's like, it's this. I was like, oh yes, that's right. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'd be a terrible snoop.
Yeah. Let's press it in. Why? No reason.
Yeah. And I was like, I've not needed to commit it to memory because I know if I really need to know, she will just tell me again.
Yeah. But anyway, okay, so this chick ends up stooping his phone, going deeper. And at first she's like, I basically don't find anything. No messages, no WhatsApp chats, no nothing. I end up going into a folder on his phone that says work. And then I go into Microsoft Teams chat. And then I'm going through his chats, and some of the chats with the women are a little bit flirty. Not that flirty, just a little bit. She very much says this. And then she's like, and then I typed in cis. I searched cis to see if it came up.
Yeah.
And eventually found a post from a while ago where he posted some photos to a group saying me and my sis on holiday, and it was photos of them when they went to Bali or something like that. So she has this information. She ends up confronting him.
Yeah.
And at first he says, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, by the way, she screenshots them and sends them to herself.
Mm-hmm.
And so then later on in this conversation, she presents them to him. He's like, this is you flirting with girls, even though she has admitted it was barely flirting.
Yeah.
And then, and also said, you're calling me sister. And he just kept going, oh, what? No, I don't know what you're talking about. What am I looking at? What's this? No, I don't know. So totally flat out denied it. And then she stayed at a friend's place or whatever. And then he eventually said, okay, we need to talk again. And then he admits, look, sorry, I didn't know what to do. You're right. I have been telling people at my work that you're my sister. And it started because when I got there, there was like a fuckboy attitude that I felt I needed to, be part of, kind of thing. And one person asked me earlier if I was married, and I said no, straight up. And then a while after that, somebody saw a photo of you on the background of my phone and asked who it was. And I panicked and I said, my sister. And then there's been a few jokes in between about her, people pretending to be like, oh, I'm going to hit on your sister, blah, 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 which kind of matches the fuckboy, I guess, attitude of his workplace. And anyway, in the end, so she was really still upset. I think she ended up going back to her friend's place or whatever, and hasn't been totally resolved. But yes, he has admitted that he told everybody at work she's his sister. That's obviously the main update. What's interesting, is, as we know, Reddit doesn't have any good advice ever.
No.
That's the number one thing. If you learn anything from this show, it's to never take advice from the people on Reddit. don't go to an advice subreddit. Don't go to a relationship advice and type a post in there because they will tell you to end your relationship at all costs.
Yeah.
People are basically like, oh, this guy's pretty much a terrorist, so you should get rid of him. Like, because to me, like, okay, it's not a good thing, obviously. Like, it's pretty stupid that he did this. But to me, everything that he says, like, matches up as just a dumb mistake that like super snowballed. And he's like, I don't know how to get out of this one. First I said that I wasn't married. Shouldn't have done that. Then I kind of got caught in that small lie. So then had to quickly come up with a bigger lie. Yeah. And it's just snowballed out of control. He absolutely has not been unfaithful. Because the worst she could find was some very slight flirty messages with some, female colleagues of his.
Yeah.
Like, but Reddit is like, oh, he's definitely cheating on you. Oh, okay, let's just state the facts. First, he gaslit you because he denied everything, even though you were showing him evidence. Then he flirts with everybody at work. Just this like way over the top. Reddit will, if you follow Reddit's advice, you will be single and alone your entire life. There is no way around it.
And that's how Reddit likes them.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then you spend more time on Reddit.
And the guy actually, I remember now, even said, oh, look, like I will go to my workplace and tell everybody that I'm actually married to you, if this makes it better. I mean, if I was him, I'd be like, you just got to do that.
Yeah,
You got to do that, screenshot it, send it to your wife and be like, I've done it. I'm sorry. This is like super embarrassing for me because I've had to admit to colleagues that for years that, I was single or whatever. But anyway.
So I guess then he must also be hiding a wedding ring. If people didn't think he was married.
Well, that's interesting because he says the very first time he didn't hide the ring. He was wearing it the whole time. Well, he said he was wearing it at the time, I think, that he first said something. And then it's unclear, I guess, whether he took it off after saying that he wasn't married. But at the time that somebody asked, he said he was wearing the wedding ring or whatever. Must have worn out something. I don't know.
Weird.
But yeah.
They should break up. Why not?
Yeah. He's basically a terrorist.
Because this is important. If they break up, Nelson, does not affect me whatsoever.
Not even in the slightest. No. Yeah. Anyway, like, actually, I think it's totally, like, it's dumb and stupid.
Oh, yeah.
But she was like, I love him so much. I have such a great relationship with him. I was like, this, to me, is not enough to break up years of marriage.
You have such a great relationship. You love each other so much. You in no way want to combine any of your friends, though.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm happy for him to have his social life, and I'll have my social life, and I do not want them to cross. I don't want to go to any of his work events. I don't want him to invite me to his work events. He would not meet my friends. We have a great relationship.
Yeah.
And he is my best friend.
That is weird, actually, when people do that, because, like, I don't care to be involved with Helen's friends that much, but I'm like, I feel like I want to meet them sometimes or something, just at least once to be. But we've never had the situation where Ellen like hasn't invited me to something that I was able to come to. Also, it's not that she needs to invite me every time either. But
on the flip side as well, if she was like, "Hey, all of my friends are going to it's someone's birthday, or whatever, you should come." You would be like, oh, God.
We have to cross worlds. No, thank you. I've told everybody you're my sister, so I don't really want to be seen out with you. Anyway, Kembe, let's move on to shower thoughts.
Shower thoughts, shower thoughts, shower thoughts, shower thoughts.
This shower thought is by Buddy462. Not tested on animal products are probably only possible because of earlier research done on animals.
Yeah. It's like they should have in like italic text this. So this is not tested on animals.
Yeah.
This shampoo is not tested on animals.
I think this is one of the things, Hammer, where I put this in the same weird category of it's okay that we eat some animals and not others. Like it's socially acceptable. To me, it's the same thing with stuff being tested on animals, that it's like, that seems meaner, so that's no good. But we can still farm and eat certain animals. That's fine.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that we just have certain like rules in our head, like values that don't, if you laid them out, just wouldn't really make sense. If an alien race came in, they were like, but why do you do this for some animals and not others? It's okay. Like, if they're testing products as well on animals, all right, I reckon it definitely depends on the animal as to how people react. And I think they test on like pigs and stuff often because maybe something weird, like our skin's similar or something like that. And like, I would say most people are like, yeah, it's a pig. I'm just going to eat it. Yum, 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 bacon. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But if you're like, well, they're testing on dogs, you'd be like, oh, no, I can't test on the dogs. No, siree. That's so cruel. Don't eat any of that. So I think this is just one of those weird things where it's like, without context, or like you kind of it's this like blind spot for humans where we pretend to care but we don't really.
Do you know what I think we should do? We should start a company that is in a field that there's a lot of other companies. So let's say we make like hats, like baseball caps.
Okay.
But we go really heavy to go, guys, our hats, they're not tested on animals. So then everyone starts to go,
are other hats tested on animals?
I didn't realize that way. And we're like, oh, all we're saying is we don't. So.
And not that I'm saying listeners should do this, but if you did see our hat business start taking off, what you theoretically could do is Photoshop some images of animals where their heads are like abnormally small. They're like cone head shape, as if to imply that other companies are putting their hats on animals and it's squishing their skull and misshaping it.
Yeah. And then you'd say something like, that's why I wear Cambo and Nelson hats.
Yeah, that's just what you could do.
Yeah.
But
like, I like the idea of throwing a cat amongst the pigeons for no reason. Because then all these companies have to come out and be like, oh, we also don't test on animals. And then we can go, oh, that's convenient now.
Now you're saying, obviously, that you do.
Seems like you've had 40 years of silence on the subject. And as soon as we bring it up now, you deny it? Interesting.
Okay, but I thought you were going to go another way. This is another business that we could have.
Yeah.
The business is called Not Test on Animals. But then we test everything on animals and just naturally make better products because that's the only way. Okay, here's another one. It's by AdOK3759. People with 6 fingers will have a hard time on dating apps as soon as it becomes the norm to use AI-generated pictures.
Oh, okay.
I imagine somebody with 6 fingers is not showing that prominently on a dating app. Because people are cruel, and as if having a 6th finger would be a desirable quality, I think.
From my understanding of people that have extra extremities is they're not fully formed generally.
Or functional or something, yeah. I think it depends.
Do people have like fully formed? I thought it was.
I think so.
Like they
actually, do you know what? I know that this person had this shower thought because somebody posted a photo of their niece's hand on Reddit. I just happened to see this at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's just like little baby hand.
Yeah.
But I would say all fingers like the same, or of equal in the right proportion.
Seems to me, Nelson, that was AI generated.
Oh yes, I see. But yeah, I feel like it's not the first detail you're coming out with. When when you meet the person, you're like, "Hey, Just so you know, I got 6 fingers. Here you go.
Also, I
Have a
have
look.
some news for AdoK3759. They said as soon as it becomes the norm to use AI generated pictures, buddy.
Yeah. Everybody's a catfish.
Yeah.
Now.
If you think the internet isn't flooded with AI generated pictures already,
Yeah.
do I have a hat for you?
Do you reckon there's many on dating apps at the moment? That's like harder to generate. That's a lot.
Look, generated, no. Altered, yes.
Yeah, but then is that just Photoshop? People, I don't know. Because
without knowing this, I'm sure there is some program that uses some AI generative thing to like fix imperfections and stuff, knowing what to take out with a tap of a button.
Yeah, right.
So it's like instead of taking the time to do it yourself, you can probably upload your photo, be like, use your machine learning to make this picture look better.
I think for males, it just generates an image where you look slightly more like Keanu Reeves because he is the peak of man.
So someone said something to me the other day that I thought was funny. They asked how tall I was.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm 180 centimeters, 5'11". And they went, oh, yeah. You'd be 6 foot on a dating profile. It's like, you're close enough. That's very close. You'd give yourself that.
You may as well. Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. All right, Gambit. Let's move on and get into podnapping.
Oh my God, I'm being podnapped.
Podnapping.
This is Podnapping, where we nap a pod. We take a topic of conversation or a segment from another thing, and we do it ourselves.
Go on here. It's my week this week. Now, look, this is the thing that has divided us recently, Nelson, is we, for circumstances beyond our control, we have to record 2 episodes kind of back to back.
Yep.
And, which means for 1 week, we both need to have a podnapping.
Yeah.
But we had 1 sent in.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for you, I'm first.
Yeah, you son of a bitch.
So I get to take the podnapping.
Yep.
Any other week, you could have got this just as evenly. But Liz has sent in the podnapping.
Guys, for future, please send them directly to me via Discord or something.
For attention, Nelson only.
Do you know what the crazy thing is? That email we got from Liz was actually in our junk email.
Oh,
because
so you
for
found
some
it.
stupid goddamn reason, they keep accidentally, some of them keep going to our junk mail. So I pulled it out.
Yep.
I should have just left it in there
Yeah,
until
you
it was my
Anyway, Liz says, oi, and then has a little prefix saying, I've never felt more attacked than when you two critique the way I spell oi.
Yeah.
Just from a few weeks back.
Yeah.
Liz continues, I woke up in the middle of a nap with the why haven't we done this already thought of 2 truths and a lie for a podnapping idea. And now
Spoiler, I think we have done this before. It was a while ago, but I have a feeling that we have.
Yeah. Look, it's so hard to tell. We've done so many of these, Nelson.
That was like the other week when you did one and Stacey was like, You've done one before. And we're both like, I don't think so. She's like, no, definitely. You've definitely done that one before. Okay.
All the times I'm like, hey, Stacey, check this out. Check this idea out. She's like, I told you that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think so. So it seems like Liz has gone to some of our listeners on Discord and has managed to get 2 truths and a lie about all of them. So we have a few different listeners here, and there's 3 facts about each of them, and then Liz has very cleverly hidden the answer in white text so I can highlight and reveal.
So you can play along too. Okay,
I can play along too. So first up is Listener Ben. Here are 3 facts about Listener Ben. 1, I still pick my nose when I think no one could possibly see me. 2, my girlfriend and I think farts are funny 95% of the time.
Farts are funny 95% of the time. Yeah.
3, when I work from home, I just spend the day doing absolutely anything but work. All right, let's lock in 3 as a truth because we all know this as a universal truth of anyone.
My suspicion is that these are almost all true, but they have some
A caveat.
Yeah, so
It's like, we actually think farts are funny 100%.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
For that one, I think it's 100% of the time. Farts are always funny.
Yeah.
Then I think picking your nose. Yeah, I think everybody picks their nose at some point or another.
Yeah.
Feel a big
it's
booger
really
up there.
Picking your nose is the context of why you do it. Yeah, if there's something lodged in your nose and you can just kind of get it out quickly.
Yeah.
Do it. If
I
you're
feel
just
like
sitting
that's
there
the biggest
aimlessly.
It's nobody's up there for minutes, but I feel like everybody in some capacity picks their nose, and it's the biggest lie in society that we pretend that no one does ever.
So what are you feeling? You think it's the 95% of the time because we think it's higher?
Because it could be 100% of the time. Yeah, I don't know. I want to know how often they work at home too. Because if they work at home a lot, then
you need to do some work. Yeah. If it's 1 day a week you work from home, this is more likely.
Let's go with the 95. It's got to be 100% of the time.
The
farts are funny.
It doesn't have any context, but it says the lie is number 2, which is my girlfriend. I think farts for 90% of the time.
I think we know why. 100% of the time farts are hilarious.
All right, next is sick abs. Number 1, my legal name is the same as one of the US states. Number 2, I broke my toes while sparring at Taekwondo tournament and still won my weight class as a black belt.
Ooh,
and number
cool.
3, I had a TikTok go viral of me singing I Love You by Billie Eilish and had over 1.3 million views.
What? Wait, say that last one again.
I had a TikTok go viral of me singing I Love You by Billie Eilish and had over 1.3 million views.
That's pretty crazy if that one's true.
Well, here's the thing I've learned.
I want to see that. If that's the true one.
Oh, yeah.
Sick abs.
Yeah.
Send that through.
Now, sick abs from memory, the name is Abby.
I've just gone US states in alphabetical order because I want to look at the first.
My question is, do we know Abby's last name?
Did she say last name was the state?
Well, it just says my legal name.
Yeah. So I'm assuming Abigail isn't on her birth certificate.
Yeah.
If this is the non-lie. If this is
yeah.
Which is otherwise known as truth. Okay. So I'm thinking that Abigail could be a different variation of an A-sounding state name.
Alabama or something.
So, yeah, we've got Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Kansas.
Did you say Arkansas? Not Arkansas?
Arkansas. Arkansas. That's not here. Isn't it Arkansas?
I don't think it's a state named Arkansas.
Each state in the United States is listed below alphabetically. Please click on the state you're interested in to view the state's information. I mean, it says Arkansas. Am I pronouncing it wrong? I mean, it's not. It's not Arkansas. Do you? Okay, this is off topic, but now I need to get to the bottom of it. It is spelled Arkansas. So, are you saying that you're actually meant to pronounce it Arkansas?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I never knew that.
I believe. Look, I could be wrong.
Saw. Oh, yeah, okay. That's it. I had no idea that was the truth. Yeah, I meant to say Arkansas. Okay, never mind. I've never noticed that.
What do we want to go with for the lie?
I feel like it could be that first one about the name.
Yeah, I am inclined to agree with you for some reason.
Yeah.
Unless her name is Arkansas. Could be true. All right, shall we find out?
Yeah.
The lie is number 3. Ah, they did.
Oh, God damn it. Oh, shit.
Oh. Nelson's whole setup has just collapsed. Lie number 3.
The desk in me.
You banged your desk in frustration, and your webcam just collapsed.
Okay.
Also, bonus points if you can guess her legal name for number 1.
It's Arkansas.
I can see the answer here.
Oh, okay.
I can tell you this, it does not start with A.
Oh, shit. Okay, I'm going to go with another one then. Is there any connotation, do you think? Because it could be like
it is a name.
Virginia. It could be Dakota. Maybe?
Oh, yeah, Dakota.
It could be Massachusetts.
No, I'll tell you, it's Virginia.
Oh! That's what I said. So
Okay.
that's fine. Okay, Kansas. I've just realized that they also have Kansas. Why isn't that?
Yeah, that's why
Why isn't there Kansas? Because it's spelt that it ends the same way. Okay? Anyway. That's all I'm saying is a stupid spelling.
We've got Dory. Number 1, I've flown around the planet 9 times. Number 2, I can play 6 different instruments. Number 3, in college, I was in a band that traveled and played for thousands of people. Now, I know Dory is a great musician because Dory is one of the fuckheads in Canberra.
Yes.
Fuckheads.
Yeah.
So 2 and 3 seem very plausible to me. Dory plays bass guitar for Campo and the Fuckheads, but
She definitely knows other instruments.
Well, I feel like we have seen photos of some of Dory's instruments in the Discord. So I could believe my gut instinct based on our interactions with Dory is that it's the first one, and it's one of those classic ones of like it's not 9 times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it's something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's go with the first one.
All right. Lie is number 2. She can only play 3. So our instincts were right that there was some kind of
yeah, the sneaky. Yeah, that's a sneaky one. That's a sneaky one.
Sneaky one. All right. And lastly, we've got Liz. Liz, number 1. I've been to more European countries than I have US states. Number 2, I've slept in a room where someone committed suicide.
Oh, God. That's
and number
horrible.
3, I can speak fluent French. I'm just going to say this, Nelson. If you can speak fluent French, number 3 would have been in French.
Oh, yeah. You've slipped up there, Liz. It's so obvious now that it's number 3.
I've slept in a room where someone committed suicide at a different time.
Yeah.
Because, like...
Oh, God, I hope a different time.
Yeah,
oh my God.
I'm hoping it's a different time.
Yeah. I mean, I've been in a hotel room too, Liz. I'm going to say number 3 there.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if Liz is fluent in French.
Yeah, well, I should say Liz's last name is Dubois. If that makes... No, it's not. All right, you want to go number 3?
Yeah.
All right. It is... Oh, this is a long one. My lie is that I cannot speak French at all. However, I did once watch a Disney movie in French while in France, and I knew what was going on without speaking the language.
That's practically knowing it. That is almost definitely knowing the language. Knowing a language is really more about picking up on the vibe.
What are they saying to me, do I reckon?
So you've told 3 truths then, Liz, I guess. Yeah. Interesting.
Okay, we got 2 of 4 there.
Okay.
Old Sick Abs
Yeah.
got us, and Dozza got us with the 3 instruments instead of 6.
Yeah.
Our advice to Dory: learn 3 more.
Yeah, let's do more.
Anyone can play the bongos.
Make your lie a truth. Whoa, isn't that deep? Make your lie a truth.
That's good.
I'm
saying, bongos, harmonica, these are low effort instruments.
Harmonica is not low effort, just so you know.
No.
It's actually very complex to play.
Nelson, you blow into it.
Yeah.
And you move it up and down your mouth.
Yeah, there's a lot of tongue action.
No. You blow into it, you move it up and down your mouth.
Why not recorder?
Case closed.
Recorder, Cambo. That one's easy peasy. And any percussion instrument.
And
learn the gong.
What's a big recorder? A flute. Flute's easy.
Yeah. Flute and recorder.
Same thing.
Anything you can blow into, Cambo has decided is all the same and easy.
I think I must have equated harmonica to kazoo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, kazoo.
Because that you do just blow into.
Yeah, that has no range at all. All right.
Yes. By the way, thank you very much to Lizz for setting it up.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Well, actually, I said it in on my mix. Okay. We can't do that, man. We were meant to do a short episode, and it's gone longer.
Quickly address the AMA that is rapidly getting out of date.
Oh my God.
Oh, Nelson. Let's just quickly address the AMA that's getting rapidly out of date, because the longer we delay it, the less relevant it's going to be.
Okay. All right.
I believe this is from Hazem, said, I find it hard to believe that a random person on the street in Australia wasn't better than this. And has sent a lovely video of National Treasure Ray Gun at the Olympics.
Yeah.
Breakdancing in quotation marks. I will put breakdancing. Yeah, look, in this country, there is, I would say, a divided opinion about Ray Gun. Have you found this, Nelson?
Yeah, I think so. But actually, I mean, I'm only speaking to people that are like-minded to me, perhaps.
Yeah.
And I would say most of them are actually in support of Ray Gun.
Yeah. I would say the majority of people I talk to are just like, yeah, cool. Good on her. She had to go, didn't she?
Okay, so the thing is that's interesting as well is she went in there saying, there's just so much to this small story. But when she went in there saying, I know that I couldn't do the same moves that some younger people who were competing would be able to do. So I purposefully went in there doing something that I've never done before kind of thing. And I knew that was a risk, but she's gone with the idea that it's a performance-based sport. So you can, for people that invent things, like rhythmic gymnastics, I'm sure is kind of the same in some way or something like that, where it's there's judges that assess and interpret what you've done. And if the judges had been like, damn, this is unique and interesting to breakdancing, then, she very well could have been on top or something like that.
Yeah.
It didn't obviously translate that well.
No. Also, there are people that said did Ray Gun take the spot of because especially, I don't know if you've seen this in Melbourne, Nelson, but there's an arcade in Melbourne that people breakdance in.
Yeah.
And they're incredible. They're really good.
Yeah.
But and people are saying did Ray Gun take the spot of someone more talented?
Yeah.
But really what this pointed out is that Australia has no infrastructure for any kind of official breakdancing thing. And it was haphazardly slapped together.
Well, no, that's not totally true because she's entered a lot of tournaments was the other thing. Yes. And she has come first, second or third many times in a row. It's she was consistently good. And they kind of said on the day of the Olympic qualifier, she just happened to perform better than the others. There's no reason why, somebody else wouldn't have taken the spot.
But the qualifier only had, I think, 13 people.
Yeah, so that's just the sense that they were it was also held in Sydney.
Yeah.
And so they were were there people, for example, in Western Australia that could have competed, but obviously going over on a whim to qualify for this. And they were yeah, definitely there could have been people over there because
probably heaps. Yeah.
But to your point, but there isn't the infrastructure around breakdancing in Australia. It's just not a big thing really. Yeah. So this is what we got and this is the best we had. But yeah, just the idea that she wasn't qualified is
Oh yeah,
not
yeah.
true. She was
qualified by all official standards.
Yeah.
The last thing I will say, which I think is a funny bow tied onto this, I saw someone on Reddit post, this is the person that Ray Gun beat to qualify and doing like a breakdance. Objectively, I would say a better breakdance than Ray Gun did at the Olympics.
Yeah.
But not great.
Yeah.
And the top comment just said, so Australia's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know what? Going one step further, Kebo, I don't know if you've seen this, but somebody put the gold medalist on a video of the gold medalist in comparison to some young Japanese boy that was just breakdancing in the streets. I'm talking like sub 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And he's fucking killing it.
Yeah.
And got like, it's not just that he's doing the cool tricks, but he's got like the groove as well. You know, like it wasn't just about, can he spit on his head for the longest? It was like, no, this dude fucking like is really into the dancing component of this breakdancing and just way better than the gold medalist. And so you're like, it's kind of that, honestly, everyone sucks.
yeah. Like the way you're doing this professional version of it is not.
It's not.
That's not what
nobody enjoys it.
No.
And it's probably because the infrastructure like worldwide is not good enough.
Yeah.
But the other thing I want to touch on as well is that they are not doing breakdancing in the LA Olympics. They're just not carrying it on. By the way, super, super normal for a country to introduce a sport, because I think there's even maybe like a certain amount of spots that you can like introduce. Your country's going to do this unique sport that's not normally in the Olympics and very often isn't carried on into future Olympics. It's just what happens every single time. But there's just been flat out lies, like misinformation of them being like, the breakdancing is not going into LA Olympics because of Ray Gun. And it's like, no, you fucking idiots. It was actually the decision before the breakdancing even started. They announced like it's not going to be, breakdancing isn't going to be in the LA Olympics. So I actually feel really sorry for Ray Gun for this reason, because she like...
Yeah, there are a lot of people... Like a lot of like commentators online in Australia are like, oh, what? We're not allowed to bully this woman? No, leave her alone.
Yeah, like she did what she felt she needed to do.
And
it was fun.
Fair play to her. She got a free trip to Paris.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Sick. Yeah, great. Good on you.
I feel like I mentioned this in another podcast. So anyway, there's that story about the I think American skier who went to the Winter Olympics, and she qualified to the event because you only needed to qualify in the top 30 of like X amount of events, and she only went to events that year that had less than 30 people, and all she did was just ski to the bottom of the hill without doing any tricks at all. And so then she made it into the Olympics and had her run and just did the exact same thing. I was like, fucking great. That's genius.
Great.
If that's what you can do to get in there, that's fine. Like, let's not pretend like the Olympics has this way higher standard than there actually is. You know, the amount of swimmers and runners that are on drugs and stuff. Like, let's stop, pretending like this isn't like the first time where somebody hasn't been successful or has like broken the rules or just done something a bit weird in the Olympics. It's pretty common.
Yeah.
Anywho, thank you for writing in, Zimbo. If you would like to write into us, you can do so. readitpodcast, READIT podcast at gmail.com. You can also reach us at our Discord or the subreddit.
Yes.
And we'd appreciate if you could write in a podnapping on my week.
That's true.
Or anything.
Yeah, and just say attention Camber if you're writing them into Nelson.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, that's fine. You've admitted now that if they say attention Cambo, they will be for me. And by the way, you could also write attention Nelson. That would also be for me. So either one. They're all mine now.
I will shout out one more time. I think I did this last week, but latest episode of Cancel Movie Report is out. both parts of a movie called Shadow Company that we covered from the 80s with the guest Zach from Auntie Donna. Very fun time. So check that out.
Cool. Sounds good. That's it. So thanks for listening, and we will read you later.